Aye, it was another quiet night, the kind that felt long but familiar. Mara had been on duty at the convenience store for hours, moving through the shift almost on autopilot. The soft buzz of the fluorescent lights hummed above her, blending with the gentle whir of the coolers stacked behind the counter. The air carried a faint aroma of coffee beans and midnight fatigue, comforting in its own way. Outside the glass doors, the world looked peaceful, washed in the pale glow of streetlights. As the last traces of daylight slipped away, her feet ached a little. Her eyes felt heavy, but there was a small comfort in knowing her shift was almost over. She grabbed a cloth and began wiping down the counter, counting the minutes until she could lock up, head home, and finally let her guard down. Nothing ever happened here, she told herself. Just another ordinary night. Calm didn't last long. Just as Mara reached for the keys near the register, the tiny bell above the glass door gave a sharp ding. 3 men stepped inside, one after another, their boots tapping heavily against the clean-tiled floor. They didn't look like late-night snack shoppers or tired travelers. There was something in the way they carried themselves. Too loud, too casual, too intentional. Their eyes scanned the store, not the shelves. Mara forced a polite smile, the kind customer service requires, but it faded quickly when the tallest one smirked back, like he already knew she was uneasy. The others chuckled under their breath, their laughter low and unsettling. One leaned against a display rack. Another blocked part of the aisle with no reason at all. And suddenly the small store didn't feel so safe anymore. Mara tried to hold herself steady, but the air around her shifted fast from uncomfortable to dangerous. The men weren't pretending to shop anymore. They moved closer, slower this time, enjoying the fear they could sense in her silence. One of them leaned on the counter, tapping his fingers like he was waiting for a reaction. The tallest stepped forward, his breath heavy with the smell of alcohol. When she whispered that the store was closed, he laughed, the kind of laugh that carries humor, but the kind that carries a threat. Before she could step back, his hand shot out and grabbed the collar of her shirt, pulling her forward. The fabric ripped sharply, echoing louder than her gasp. A wave of panic surged through her body as the other 2 snickered behind him, like this was all just entertainment. She struggled, but his grip was firm, his face inches from hers, eyes daring her to fight back. Just when fear tightened its grip around her chest, something shifted. A sound quiet at first, like boots brushing against the floor from the back of the store. The attackers turned, confused, losing focus for a split second. Then came another step, heavier this time, followed by another. 3 tall figures emerged from between the aisles, slow, calm, and unmistakably intimidating. They weren't loud. They didn't need to be. Their presence alone filled the space the way thunder fills the sky before a storm. Leather vests, scarred knuckles, tattoos that told stories tougher than words ever could. Bikers. Not just any bikers. These were men who had seen danger up close and never looked away. The tallest stepped forward, eyes locked on the hand still gripping Mara's shirt. No panic, no shouting, just a deep, steady calm that hit harder than any scream could. The room went silent, and for the first time that night, the balance of power changed. The tallest biker didn't raise his voice, but he didn't need to. His eyes dropped to the man's hand, still clutching Mara's torn shirt, and the message was clear without a single word. Slowly, deliberately, he stepped forward. The air changed not with chaos, but with consequence. The smirk on the attacker's face faded inch by inch as confidence drained into hesitation. When the biker finally spoke, his voice was low and steady, edged with a calm that carried more weight than anger ever could. The men who had walked in laughing were no longer amused. One tried to puff his chest out, mutter a threat, pretend he wasn't rattled, but his feet betrayed him, sliding back half a step. No long warning, no speeches, just swift action. A grab, a controlled shove, a reminder that cruelty always meets a stronger wall eventually. In seconds, the hunters became the hunted, scrambling toward the exit. Pride shattered louder than bones. Justice didn't need to roar. It just showed up. The room, moments ago filled with fear, now held only silence, soft, heavy, healing. Mara stood exactly where she was, shaky breaths slowly untangling themselves, her torn shirt clutched in her hand like evidence of a battle she never asked to fight. The bikers didn't crowd her. They didn't demand praise or explanations or gratitude. They simply stood there long enough for her to feel safe again. When the tallest finally turned toward her, his voice was gentler, calm in a way that felt human, reassuring. She whispered a fragile thank you, the kind that carries more emotion than volume. He gave a small nod, not dramatic, not heroic, just real. Then, without fanfare or speeches, they walked back toward the door, leather boots steady, presence fading with purpose fulfilled, not advertised. As the engines roared to life outside and melted into the distance, she finally exhaled. Heroes don't always look the way we imagine. They just show up when it matters most.